person who came up with this game was a man by the name of Buckminster Fuller. You may know him best for the geodesic dome. You may not know him at all, but he came up with this projection, the map that you're sitting on. This is that map. It's on your walkabout form. Hopefully you've been familiarizing yourself with it. And if we were to compare the Mercator, you'll see there's really no Antarctica. It's a sliver. On the Fuller projection, Antarctica appears as what I like to call a rubber ducky shape, because if you look at it, it's kind of a rubber ducky turned on the side. Yeah. I think I just earned somebody like 5 more points in a geography test at some future date. But yeah, Antarctica appears as a whole continent, which is what it is. And we see the North Pole is in the middle, as opposed to any particular country or anywhere that anybody's from. And South America, you see Greenland is its correct proportion. It's approximately 1/9 the size of South America, which is true. It's more or less a non-distorting projection. The challenge was where to break the map. The map is broken at the oceans. No land masses are really carved up. So this is the map that you're going to be using throughout the game. And we hope that it's useful for you, and hopefully, again, getting back to perspective, it gives you some different perspective on the size of the land masses in the world. I'd also point out the Mercator projection. We have the equator. I may as well go back to this. By definition, equator, well, there should be something equal happening and should be dividing the world in half. On most Mercator projections, the equator is about 2/3 of the way down the map. What this does is increases the size of everything in the northern hemisphere and decreases the size of everything in the southern hemisphere. Continent particularly like Africa or South America is actually a whole lot larger than they're normally depicted. And what I'd like you to do now is to actually get you into the swing of things and playing the game. If you would all just please pick up your papers and clear off to the sides of the map. It doesn't matter particularly where right now. Okay. We'll get to that later. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's see. Could I just somebody who has a humanity game card? Could I just see your game card for a second? Doesn't matter whose. That'll work for me just fine. You all have game cards. Hopefully, you all have game cards. Please try and remain upright during the entire game. Thank you. You all have game cards. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, you all have an entry year. In this case, it's 1500. This person's Indian subcontinent. What we're going to do in this exercise, it's another perspective exercise, actually, is to take you forward through time. Somebody's missing a game card here. Take you forward through time. And we're going to use this length of the map. We're going to use this length of the map to depict the entirety of world history, starting at 4.5 billion years ago. Now, Manisha, my partner here, is going to stand at that edge of the map where Antarctica is, and she's going to walk forward using this as a timeline representing, as best we know, the dawn of the birth of Earth to the present at that far end of the map. And this will hopefully give you some idea of perspective in terms of chronologically, not just geographically speaking. And what I would ask you to do is when you see your entry year, in this case 1500, what I'd like you to do is come out to the region indicated on your game card, and I'd like you to stand there. Just stand there. You can keep watching the slides and listening to me babble on. And who has 3000 BC? One individual should have 3000 BC. Thank you. You, sir, will represent the first person, or more accurately, the first 59 million people on Earth. Each one of you in this game will be playing the role of approximately 59 million people. When we get to 3000 BC, you will be the first to enter your region, stand there. Further instructions will be forthcoming. World History Timeline. Hopefully you're all prepared. Okay. 4.5 billion years ago, the sun and planets congeal from a cloud of gas and dust in the spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy. 4.4 billion years ago, the oceans are formed. 3.2 billion years ago, we have the first life on Earth. 1.5 billion years ago, we have the formation of the ozone layer. This makes land-based life possible in the coming years. 900 million years later, 900 million years ago, sexual reproduction accelerates pace of biological diversity and evolution and makes things considerably more interesting. 400 million years ago, first land plants and animals. 220 million years ago, we have the dinosaurs and the first small primitive mammals. 65 million years ago, there is a tremendous meteor impact, as best we can tell, probably somewhere around here, narrowly missing Houston. Now, actually, Houston was somewhere else at the time, but in any event, as best as we can determine, there was a huge clouds of gas and dust blocking out the sun, killing out plant life, and then killing the dinosaurs. This is the running theory, and half of all other existing life forms at the time. This sort of thing could happen again. And this time Houston might not be so lucky. 45 million years ago, we have what's now known as the continent of India pushing forward and slamming into the rest of Asia, forcing up the Himalayan mountain chain, which is the world's, or Himalayan if you prefer, the world's tallest mountain chain. 3.7 million years ago, we have the first primitive humans. 2 million years ago, first tool use by humans. We also have the first hammered thumb. 360,000 years ago, we have controlled use of fire. 40,000 years ago, complex language, first lawyers. We have blade technology and modern humans flourish. 25,000 BC, the sea level is down a bit, and we have the peopling of the Americas. We have people who've originated probably in the Rift Valley of Africa, walking across Asia, and this is, I apologize about the slides advancing without my participation, but we have people crossing Asia and crossing a land bridge here into the Americas, and then following the Americas down and populating the entirety of them. This happens about 25,000 years ago. 10,000 BC, population is up to 10 million, and I'd like to indicate that Manisha is now at the edge of the map there.
Excuse me, I'm now about a hair's width away from the edge of the map, and as you can see, all of known history is just now being recorded. This is measured from where my toes are towards the edge of the map. In this thin sliver of time, humans are now recording history.
Okay. We normally can't time that as well, and I'm really glad that worked. 3000 BC. Could we please have a round of applause for our first person, our first 59 million people? Please come out to your indicated region. Thank you. It's the invention of writing. We have Egyptian hieroglyphics. It's the Bronze Age. We're working with bronze, making the Olympics much less exciting, really. And what else? The pyramids are built. There's urban planning in India. And people are living in the grasslands of the Sahara. 2000 BC, again, if your year is indicated, please come out and stand in your region. Population is up to about 100 million people. If you could remain standing, we'd appreciate that greatly. Thank you. We have the first dictionary in China, and Hammurabi's code in Babylon, present-day Iraq, was the first law code. 1000 BC, our population is up to 150 million people. It's the time of the Phoenician alphabet in Middle East and North Africa. First Olympics in Greece, and it's the time of Confucius and Homer.
600 to 400 BC. This is the time of Buddha, Socrates, Lao Tzu, Zoroaster, and the Old Testament. The Earth, we know the Earth is a sphere now. We have land trade routes and the Babylonian calendar.
Okay, year 0, or if you prefer 1 AD, 1 BC. Population's now up to about 200 million. Again, if your year is indicated for any of these years, please come out to the map. It's the time of Jesus Christ, the Roman Empire. The first census is taken in China. 600 AD. It's the time of Muhammad in the Middle East, at the beginning and spread of Islam. Mayan civilization is flourishing in South America, and there's a natural gas pipeline in China. They use bamboo.
1000 AD, the population is now escalated to 250 million people. The first novel, The Tale of Genji, was written in Japan by a woman. We have the Crusades and nation states now developing in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay, the year is 1200 AD. Our world population's up to 300 million. It's the time of Genghis Khan and the Mongol hordes. Marco Polo visits China. The #1 energy source, we're burning wood.
1500, population has now reached 500 million people. We have the Renaissance in Europe, Columbus sailing around the world, Shakespeare writing many plays, and Korea has invented movable type.
1600 AD, population is up to 600 million. It's the time of Galileo and Kepler. What this means is we're beginning to think that perhaps the Earth is not the center of the universe. It's the time of the microscope and lead pencil, suspension bridge, and Ferdinand Magellan and his Portuguese crew, actually the crew makes it all the way around. Magellan is killed, but it's the first circumnavigation or traveling all the way around the Earth. It took them 2 years on a wooden ship.
1700, population now reaching 700 million people. We have a telescope, Isaac Newton, Bach, and Mozart.
1800, population is 900 million. It's the time of Malthus, who has some population theories. Beethoven, Gregor Mendel is figuring out some genetic stuff. It's the time of the smallpox vaccination in Europe. We'll talk about that later. And atomic theory.
1920, population has now reached 1.85 billion people. We have airplanes, transcontinental travel, air conditioning, radio broadcasts, and the #1 energy source is oil.
Okay, 1950, our population is up to 2.5 billion people. It's the time of the birth control pill and polio vaccine. Polio vaccine extending life, making life easier for many. The United Nations has been founded a few years earlier, first in San Francisco and then New York. It's now a 2-day circumnavigation of the world by airplane.
1960, population has reached 3 billion people. We still have a little more than half of you out in the map. We can now circumnavigate the globe 90 minutes by rocket, and we have global airline service.
Also, it's the first human in space. Does anybody know the name of the first human in space? Some Russian dude by the name of Yuri Gagarin. 1970, our population's up to 3.7 billion. Humans are now on the moon. Boeing 747 is fairly common. Satellite communication. It's the equality and ecology movements. As one of my friends at World Game used to like to say, we're now beginning to think that men aren't the center of the universe.
1980, population has escalated to 4.4 billion people. Energy consumption has quadrupled. We have the first test tube baby. Space shuttle, space station, supersonic transport, and smallpox has been eradicated.
1990, our population is up to 5.3 billion. It's the time of the cellular telephone, New European Order, the European Economic Community, and later European Union. It's the time of CAD scans, gene mapping, CD players, and there are 70 million personal computers in the world.
1998, population has reached 5.9 billion people. Life expectancy in developed parts of the world is over 75 years.
Okay. If we could cut the drums, that would be terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now that you have some idea of how you're distributed in the world, I am now going to ask you all to do what for some of you will be your most difficult task today, and that is without poking into the water parts of your region, because nobody can tread water that long, I'd like you to please sit down within the boundaries of your region. Thank you. Sure you can. All right. So, is everybody fairly comfortable? Over here in North America, how does it feel? Would you like to, you got your legs crossed, would you like to maybe spread out a little, or? It's a Saturday morning, or afternoon, relax. How about over here in South Asia, China, East Asia? How is it? You're all fitting pretty well, no? All right, well, obviously what we've done is this is a very graphic representation of the way the population is actually distributed in the world. Each of you would notice that there is more population in Asia than there is in corresponding parts of the world. And we've broken you up in your regions according to how that's actually distributed. Some of you may find this to be an issue. You're going to have to be dealing with some fairly complex tasks today, and decision-making may, for some of you, be a bit more of a problem. It's easier with, the 2% of the population that we have here in Japan than the 23 of you than there are in China, East Asia. And let's see, another way of taking a look at this same information that's depicted here is to, in which we just went over. There we go. This population growth slide is essentially the same information which you were given using the timeline. You'll note that about 10,000 BC, we have modern humans really showing up. And as time goes on, we get slightly better at feeding ourselves and clothing ourselves, maybe a little better at medicine here and there. And then about 1800s, 1900s, we get really good at it. Although we're still not too adept with the slide projector, but we do get really good with medicine, clothing, shelter, and what this means is people live longer. They live long enough to have children themselves, and this is driving population growth in the world. If you look at the top of that spike off to the right, that's where we are right now. Now, this means two things. Means that there are more people to be clothed and housed and fed than there have ever been in the history of humanity. This also means is that there are more brains out there, more people's minds to think about ways to do it than ever before. So it's both a challenge and an opportunity, and it's something perhaps to think about through the course of the game. At this point, so we can really get you into the swing of things, I'm going to turn things over to Manisha, who is going to give you some instructions about the rules of the game and your goals.
Before we begin with the regional teams, for those of you on an international team or organization, teachers or other students, if you could go over to your area so we could get an idea of how many people we have on that team, please. While they're doing that, if the regional teams could pick one person from your region to go over to those signs and pick up your baskets, folders, and hats, bring them over to your region and pass out your hats. You can also spread out into the oceans now.
I
there are a lot of people over here.
forgot about the literacy thing. Would you like me to do that?
Sure, when they come back.
Sure, all right. That's kind of important. I always forget to do it. It's incredible. Okay. If you could please, at this point, I would imagine that most of you have your materials. If you could be seated in your regions, and before Manisha continues with the rules, sometimes people people have different ways of learning, really. Some people listen and they learn. What other people are more sort of print-oriented. They read something and they understand it better. So what I'd like you to do at this point is if all of you could please just take a quick look at the back of your humanity game cards where it says your role, and if you could please just read that for a minute or two. Okay. Are things fairly clear? It's not clear?
Can't read it.
What's the problem?
You. No?
You
Keep it. What did you say?
they're little figures, they're letters. You're all high school students, right? So, well, yeah, it's a good point. Those of you who are having difficulty reading your game cards, could you please raise your hand? Okay. For these of you, I know there have to be more of you than that. Come on. Those of you who are having trouble reading your game cards, please raise your hand. All right, excellent. You people, who do you think you represent in the world? Illiteracy, exactly. You people are, for the duration of this game, the illiterate population of the Earth. It's approximately 31%, I believe, of you, 21%. So we saw your hands, we know who you are, and we will be remembering that. Manisha is going to continue with the rules, yes. Oh my God. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. So I'm going to ask you to just give me your attention for 5 minutes because I want you to start playing the game as quick as possible, and I will answer all of your questions once I'm done speaking. Okay? You need to wear your hats today because these hats are your passports. They're going to allow you to travel and trade with other regions of the world. I see that many of you have already started looking through your baskets and your folders. Some of you have your hands raised. I don't know why. Let's go over to North America. North America, hello? What do you have in your basket? Everybody has food in their basket. Each region has been given the region's real world percentages of food. So North America has 26 pieces of food in its basket. We've also given you candles. What do you think the candles represent? Energy. Japan, what do you have in your basket? What do you have?
Can of sardines and
One can of sardines and one candle. Is that enough for you? Yes, there's some disagreement. Do you all think you have enough food and energy for your regions? If you open up your folders and look at this pink sheet called the Global Digital Scorecard, you'll see that North America has 7% of the world's population. And they're currently producing, in their region, currently producing 18% of the world's total food production for 7% of the world's population. Of this food production, they're currently consuming 8%. So at the end of the game, they don't need any more food. They have an excess of 10 pieces of food. But we see that North America's energy production is 26% of the world's total energy production. They're currently consuming 31 of this. So they're getting it from somewhere else, or they need to get more by the end of the game. So by the end of the game, they need a total of 31. They need 5 more. We see that Japan has 2% of the world's population, and they're currently producing only 1% of the world's food. Now, certainly Japan doesn't have many people, but they do need more food by the end of the game. They need 1 more food piece, and they need 5 more pieces of energy. Japan, how are you going to get more food and energy? You're going to what? You're going to trade?
Yes.
Yeah. What are you going to trade? You only have 1 piece of food and 1 energy.
We're gonna have to buy some.
You're going to have to buy some. Japan doesn't have much food and energy, but Japan has a lot of money. Japan has $460 billion. So does anyone want to sell Japan food or energy? No? North America, do you want to make some money? Do you want to sell Japan some food? Okay, North America doesn't want to sell Japan food. Does any other region want to sell Japan food? Europe? How much do you want? Yeah. Would you take $2 billion? You can sell energy. So you need food, Middle East? Can I just keep your attention for a few more minutes and I'll go through the rules very quickly. You need how much more energy?
We need no more energy, but we need about 40% more food. So we have a lot of energy to spend, or well, to sell, to trade.
Okay, so Middle East, you're willing to trade your energy for food, okay? So you see how this kind of works. This is free trade. Middle East can trade energy. North America has an excess of food. They can sell it or they can trade it for whatever they wish to do with it. And Japan has a lot of money. Many of you have enough food and not enough energy, or enough energy and not enough food. India, hello India. You have 22% of the world's population. And you are currently producing 12% of the world's food. By the end of the game, India, how are you going to get 23 food pieces? You're going to trade what? Trade what? What will you trade? Trade energy? Do you have enough energy to trade? India's subcontinent is currently producing 3%. By the end of the game, you need 15. You're going to beg. What will you do, India, or Africa, or any other region, Latin America? What will you do if you can't buy or sell or trade? Can you yell out? I can't hear. Do you have resources? Yes. Well, if you open up your folders, you see that we've not only given you food and energy and money, but we've given you natural resources, these green cards. We've also given you blue technology cards. This represents your research and development. It represents the computers in your country. It also represents how literate the people in your region are. The more technology you have, most likely the literacy level in your region is higher. But aside from that, if you can't sell or buy or trade, how are you going to get more food and energy? How are you going to solve your region's problems? Make what? Make alliances? What would you do at home if you didn't have any money to buy food? Farm. You could grow it. Okay. So in this game, we're going to ask you to come up with solutions. So let's say you want to grow more food. You're going to use this card. If you look in your folders, you'll see there's a white form called the World Game Strategy Form. Today, we gave you all of the world's resources, but you came in here with the most important resource, and that's your imagination, your creativity. We're going to ask you to define what the problem is. Say, for example, the problem being worked on, need more food. What's your solution? Grow it, okay? That's a good start, but that's not enough. Your solutions, your ideas, are going to cost something. Everything has a price. So you're going to probably need to invest technology, natural resources, and money. And you can do this by bringing this form, once it's filled out with the problem and the solution, to that table called the production center where Chris is standing. During the trading rounds, he and I will be standing there, waiting for you to bring us your solutions. We will evaluate them. We will tell you if it's feasible, and we will price them for you. It's not a store. You cannot come there and buy food and energy. What you can do is come there and invest money. It's your research and development, and we will give you the food and energy there once your solution has been accepted. So I'm telling you, you have the first goal, increase your food and energy production. Your second goal, if you'll notice, along with the world's resources, we've given you the world's problems. Each region has problems. This binder has problems that deal with the environment, cultural problems, education problems, economic problems, health problems. So your second goal today is to solve these problems. Solve the AIDS crisis, solve deforestation, solve the problem of not having enough health care. Make everybody in your region literate. How are you going to do this? You're all coming up with solutions. I'm hearing them yelled out. Again, use this form. On this form, write the problem and come up with the solution. Right now, what I'd like you to do is just take 5 minutes and organize yourselves. India, China, many of you have a lot of people on your teams. You're going to need to figure out who's going to do what. So take a few minutes. No, you need to stay on the map, but you can move around within the bounds of your region. Don't get up, though, because we haven't started the game. We're going to ask you to fill out this form called the Regional Team Strategy Round. It's got some questions. How are you going to organize yourselves? How are you going to get more food? You need to stay within your regions. You can stand up, sure, but stay within your regions. We haven't started the trading round yet, so just organize yourselves.
Also, those of you who are illiterate, will not be able to write or speak to the members of your team. And we would ask you to stick to that rule and have the people in that region have you adhere to it. If you find some other way to communicate which does not involve writing or speaking, you're welcome to use it.
I detest being illiterate. Send me to school. Serious.
Are you illiterate?
I'm not. I'm illiterate. I'll talk to the camera.
You're breaking the rules.
Yeah. I don't like the rules. It's very interesting being illiterate. You can't solve the world's problems. You're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to write. So basically, I'm just sitting here. Just gonna sit here and be part of the problem.
So we have to put some method in. I think the most important thing is to make sure everybody eat.
work in the real world, you have the ability to say, I don't like that, work on it again, give them another citation. If you have to come back a third time and they either haven't wanted to work on it or haven't come up with something that makes sense, you have the ability to take away, depending on what you think, again, would happen in the real world, a food unit, an energy unit, or $10 billion. Now, you have the authority to do this, but you're not doing it as a police action. You're doing it to represent in the real world. If there's a problem, you let it go. It's going to cost you something down the line. Normally, nobody has a problem with yielding that. We're going to explain everything to everybody shortly, do a little demonstration. But if there is a problem or you have any questions, feel free to ask us. But by and large, you have the authority to break up the work amongst yourselves however you like, and to proceed however you like. Also, UNESCO, they'll be coming to you to increase their literacy. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to ask. And let's see, there was one final thing I wanted to say, which is very important, and it's slipping my mind at the moment. Let's see. Break up the work however you like. I'm sure it'll come to me. We're going to do a demonstration which will hopefully make this all clear. Oh, yes. What I like to tell people to do, there are some richer regions like North America and Japan that are sitting on loads of cash and everything. It doesn't mean they don't have problems. What I normally encourage people to do, although you don't have to do this, is to hit those people with problems first. This makes them every bit as busy as people who are struggling to just feed themselves. And is reflective of the fact that they're in societies that do have problems. So that was it. Any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and we'll be doing a demo. That's why, yes.
We don't have to follow the guidelines here when it says certain solutions, you have to do certain, I have to take a technology for this and that. We don't have to follow that.
You don't have to. They're guidelines. What makes sense to you? I mean, there's a guidelines based on basic scale of what we have set up in the game, so that things aren't horribly distorted. But just use your own judgment. So,
It is real specific. Take one technology.
You are literate now, and for the remainder of the game, you'll be able to speak to people in your teams. We just wanted to give you a little taste of that. Thank you.
You have this on your.
You want to work on the educational status or the food?
Some of our money back into the people for education.
Yeah, we need to feed them first, or they're gonna die before they get it.
No,
I think you know what? It's not actually. That's the point. You
take
can't
the
just
money and
say.
invest in education. She's saying that doing two things at the same time.
And at the same time,
We got money to invest. What do you mean by that? What money are we going to invest?
This money's right?
There's $38 billion we have.
I think that we need money or energy. North
Hold on. Where's the paper at? Look on that scene. Natural resources.
Stop organizing. We're going to start round one in just a minute, but we want to introduce to you at this time the international teams that you have seen sitting over here. The people in the yellow hats over there, they represent the United Nations. You can go to them to solve your peace and security issues. UNESCO, wearing the pink hats, they're United Nations Education, Science, and Cultural Organization. They will be available to help you with your literacy problems, other education problems, as well as cultural problems. In the green hats, we have the Environmental Organization. Purple hats, World Health Organization for your health problems. And the blue hats are the Commercial Bank. They will be telling you that you have huge debts that need to be repaid. And you can also go to them if you need a loan, but it's up to them whether they give you the money for a loan or not. We also have the World Game News Network, the media team. They will be the eyes and ears of the world today. They will be reporting 3 times between each round. So you can use them if you have something to report, and they may also be spying on you to report what you're doing to the rest of the world, so be aware. At this time, we just want to do a quick demonstration of the role of the international teams. They're going to come around and give you citations for not solving your problems. So Chris and I are going to show you what will happen and how you can get rid of them.
Okay. For purposes of this brief demonstration, after which you can go out and trade, we're just doing this so you all are on the same page and get an idea of what's going on. I will be a member of the North America team, and Manisha here will be from the environmental organization. You'll be from UNESCO? Yes. Okay. She's going to be from UNESCO, which should happen briefly. Anybody know any good campfire songs? Kumbaya. You don't want to
North
listen to me sing.
America,
Here we
you
go.
have.
Yes.
You're supposed to be African.
I didn't know that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm
That's
supposed
okay.
to be.
You stay there. I don't want
All
to
right.
talk to Chris right now. Africa, you have a serious literacy problem, and I need you to solve this problem as soon as possible. It's affecting the people of your region. So I'm going to give you this strategy form saying that you have a literacy problem, along with this pink card saying that this is a citation card to remind you. Okay? So I'll be back in 5 minutes. So solve that problem.
I guess I'm not a member of your team. Here's your stuff back.
Africa, have you solved your literacy problem? Africa? I guess Africa's ignoring me. Have you solved your literacy problem?
They're eating.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
There's always no school, and then when they're little, they have to work.
Let's get some more schools. Eating is a bit more important than literacy.
It's fine. Just a second.
Africa, have you solved
Yes.
your literacy problem?
We're really busy over here.
Apparently so. You're completely ignoring me.
Well, we got a lot of problems. We're trying to meet our food and energy needs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you solve your literacy problem, maybe you could solve some of these other problems.
All right. All right.
So
Yeah, we came up with a solution, and we're going to build more schools and hire more teachers and pass a law that everybody has to be literate.
Pass a law that everyone has to be literate. How are you going to pass a law to make everyone literate?
They'll just have to.
What will you do? You're going to force people to learn how to read?
Yeah, we're a little rough on the details, but yeah.
Okay, well, I somehow think that may be a human rights issue, so you may get another citation from the United Nations. I don't know, but we'll find out. Also, to pass a law, that's probably going to be really expensive. I mean, you're going to have to get people to enforce that law. It's going to cost you a lot more.
All right.
I won't give you another citation, but I could.
Okay.
I'll give you another chance. So I'm going to come back in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. Africa, have you solved your problem?
Yes, we have. We think it's a little better this time. We're going to institute a literacy tree program in which newly literate people turn around and in turn teach people who were not literate how to read. It's sort of repaying the program. And it's a bit of a pyramid scheme, but it works. Everybody learns how to read in the end.
That sounds like an excellent solution, and it's very affordable. So, Africa, this solution, I'm from UNESCO, so I'm going to price this solution for you. Let's see. I think it's a relatively affordable solution. You don't need a lot of technology. You can teach someone how to read through another person. So, one technology to invest in manuals and producing these things, and $1 billion.
Okay, we can afford that.
Okay, Africa, that was excellent. So I'm going to give you this purple card, this well-being card. This shows that you're doing excellent things for your people. You're increasing the well-being of your region.
Yay. And I don't have any more literacy problems or any UNESCO problems.
Well, actually you do. If you look in your binder, you have more. So I'm going to give you another problem, and I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Oh, great.
So everybody on these teams, you want these cards. This shows that you're doing good things for your people, that you're increasing the well-being of your region. You want these cards.
All right, well, what if I don't feel like solving the problem?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, let's say that, you were going to give me a citation, so what?
Okay, well, if you don't want to solve your problem, I can come back and give you another citation.
Yeah.
And then, if I have to come back and give you a third citation, I may take away $1 billion, $10 billion, one food piece or one energy piece, because these problems that you're not solving affect the food and energy production in your region. They affect
Okay.
your income.
All right, so I'd better pay attention to these problems.
Also, if you solve your literacy problems, you can get more technology. So regions like India or Middle East or Latin America who need more technology, by increasing your literacy levels, you can get more technology from UNESCO.
Excellent.
So round one has now started.
Hey, wait a minute. You don't get that. Sorry.
Why don't we get that?
You just don't get it. You have to earn it. Sorry.
Well, here.
You earned it for us.
Can we go through with this?
So, do we not really have to buy to solve this? Or is that just like
But then
law?
we get fined or something, right? Like they take stuff from us.
So you want to go through with this?
We don't have much technology, but
That'll work. That'll
Yeah,
work.
that would work if you just give the technology and some of the money, it would work.
is there, do you think of any way like we don't need technology or something?
You need technology for literacy?
Yeah.
Just build more schools.
No. We need technology to build more schools.
Yeah,
It's gonna cost money.
technology card.
Yeah, so that won't work.
We have another technology card.
No. You can't waste those technology.
Are we not going to try and... If you don't have education, you don't have more technology. Yeah. Who? UNESCO. Yeah, you can get from yours.
So we need to try and petition for a technology card?
Yes. Okay. Are we going to try and implement this pyramid scheme like they were talking about, or are we making up our own? Yeah.
I think we can do that, but we can
If you just graduated, you know how to read automatically, so they can just help out with that.
Okay.
I think we also need to invest food because if people don't have enough food, they're not gonna be able to learn.
What is
You know what the food I mean, the more you learn, the better you know how to handle the food you have.
It's kind of the same thing. We still need both technology and the technology.
How much money we can spend on schooling? How much money we can
What was it? 2 million?
$1 billion?
She said one.
You say $1 billion. That's $1 billion? Yeah, $1 billion.
For what? For educating people.
They said $1 billion.
One?
I don't think we assign them money. Like, I think they're supposed to. We bring it up there with our solution, and then they tell us like how much it costs. So, do you like the solution? Like, should we do like maybe a benefits program for people who read too? So, like, if they read,
That would cost money too.
yeah, that would cost money. But like, you know how they were doing with the fourth graders over in HRSD and stuff? Like, you read over the summer, you get a buck or something.
Yeah. You need education.
That's right, we can afford it.
How much is that?
5 billion.
Yeah, okay. Hey, you want to trade money for food? Do you think, how much food do you have?
Who's the leader here? Africa. Who can lead?
The one
Anyone who speaks for Africa. All right.
He does.
UNESCO is going to cite you for the incredible literacy rate in this continent, and you really do need to try to solve it as quickly as possible. It's the baseline problem for most of the problems you
Two
have.
citation cards here.
Yeah, you appear to have 2 citations.
So if we solve one, we solve the other?
You need to go to the problem that you think is the root cause of any problem. And who brought this to you?
The prisoners.
The one when they were doing...
Okay, ignore that. This is your first citation. Let me have that back.
Okay, I'm gonna follow the best way. Standardize languages. Don't say that. No, teach.
What? A nice citation? What's your problem?
Help! Help for case.
Okay, first.
Let's
try education first. For literacy. Make the actual language. Try to give it to if they don't want to compromise with that, we might as well.
They got enough energy. Tell them to do more.
Yeah, try and get as much for that billion.
We got way too many people.
What's y'all's problem? What are y'all trying to solve? First of all, have y'all elected a leader, or did y'all have a coup, or is it a committee?
We just all designated him as our leader. You know,
No, we're centering around the main ideas.
we're sending around ideas, because we have a real educational lack in our system, and we're trying to get a strength in that area and trade ideas with other countries to.
What's the problem you're working on right now?
Literacy rate, because we have the lowest literacy rate in the world, so we're trying to.
49%.
We have 49% literacy rate.
49% literacy rate, and that's our biggest problem. It's pretty obvious.
And we're also lacking a lot of food, so we have to get food sourced from somewhere else, and we're planning on trading mineral resources for that. So we'll see how that works out.
87% literacy rate, and we're already working on it. You think you might give us a little bit more time because we've already got three? How about giving us 5 minutes and we'll come back?
No, we really need to work on that problem.
If they waste money, if they pollute, then they have to pay a certain amount, or they have to do punishment,
We could just throw them in jail.
Like they will have to pay something that they will have to.
How are these?
Yes.
How are the leaders selected?
The leaders.
Is that part of the game, or did they just invent that process?
Within each region, the students decide for themselves who the leaders will be, and we encourage them to be creative and really leave it at that. They have most of the control in the game, really, as to their own destination.
So they can have democratic processes, or otherwise,
or usually it ends up being more democratic, or sometimes you have a strong personality who tends to dominate. It's a reflection of the real world, really.
What are you doing here? What is your function at this table?
I'm at what we call the production center, which represents an area where people can trade, actually not so much trade, but invest their natural resources, technology, and money to produce food or energy or meet their other needs.
So your function is to judge solutions' success or failure?
Yes, to see if they're feasible in the real world. Well, that's what we're aiming at, to see if people have thought about what it takes to actually produce food or energy and so forth.
So you have a customer right now?
Yes, we do. And let's see.
Hi. Yeah, we're trying to get some food.
And all right. Yes, we spoke earlier, and so with an investment of one technology unit, one natural resource, $2 billion, and your idea for subsidizing food crops and business loans for agricultural machinery, I'm going to, if you want, I can take that and I'll give you a waiver.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
We need some food, yeah.
All right, great. All right, take one you like. There. They're always good. All right, thanks.
So what did that guy, explain the transaction that guy just did with you.
Earlier, the most important thing we're looking for is the idea, and earlier one of his teammates came up and for Latin America suggested this scheme for subsidizing the modernization of agriculture, buying machinery and so forth. So I talked to his teammate and I said, if you would invest $2 billion, a technology unit which represents your physical plant and your technological know-how and R&D, and a natural resource unit which represents the actual land, it can represent other things as well, then we would be willing to give him a food unit, which represents not so much that he's trading here, but that he's producing, and we're merely evaluating the solution here, the idea itself, which for us is the most important thing at the educational level.
Yugoslavia conflict, but you're asking the UN for peacekeeping troops and NATO assist them. Okay, and in Yugoslavia, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll send some troops over. We got money. We're gonna spend $6 million. Right now, we give them $6 million and $6 billion.
Right. That's great.
And you're gonna need a little technology. We'll give you one technology card to help you out.
What's going on?
We're helping Yugoslavia. There's a war going on in Yugoslavia, and they're asking the UN to help. And so we're sending out some of our troops. That's going to cost us money and some technology, and so we're helping them out.
Keep this here.
No, we need to keep the strategy card.
Alright.
Another problem, we're giving another goodwill. We'll have to give the company. Oh, we need a goodwill. A well-being card because you looked out for the safety of your nation. So go back and we'll give you another citation.
Very much.
Yugoslavia, how did the war come about?
The war came about because of ethnic conflicts and religious differences, but we're asking UN troops and NATO troops to come help, and so apparently we've solved the problem because they're giving us money and some resources, so we're going to try to implement the policy.
Exactly. It's only either yes or no.
I got 5 billion. I got 5 billion.
Any country is excellent.
Are y'all from North America?
No.
You're not. Oh, it's Europe.
Yeah.
So what's going on in Europe right now?
Right now we're trying to trade with other countries, and I think we're like concentrating on food right now. So because also the situations, we got like 6 situations going on.
What are the 6 situations?
Like one, for example, is how do you stop high school dropouts, and we came to the solution that we should make it a law that in order to get a job, like any sort of job, like working at McDonald's even, you have to have a high school education, or you have to be in high school at the time, or else you won't be able to get a job. And we were thinking maybe that'll like reduce high school dropouts.
Okay, what are the other 5 situations you're dealing with?
Other 5 situations. What other situations?
One of them is like the ignoring the cultural and education needs, and
we're the environmental pollution.
You have an environmental citation. Okay, what are the problems you're facing, and what's the number 1 problem according to the game?
Is that in Eastern Europe there's just too much pollution and the technology is not up to date, so they're polluting a lot. And what we need to do is we just need to pass laws against this.
And we try to improve technology.
So the solution to your problem is going to be government and laws and investing in technology?
Okay, our solution try to like improve the industry pollution. That means we try we establish a government, and after that we try to improve technology. So that means pollution gonna be better. We pass out the law. If they not obey the law, we're gonna punish them.
What are the other 5 You were quote listing some problems. You listed a couple of them. That's 3 of them. What's the other 2?
I don't see it. We're not sure. We just worked on this because we divided it up. But what other problems did we work on? We just got another one.
Is there a leader? Is there a leader to Europe, or or did y'all broken up into different states?
we didn't really make a leader or anything. We're like all broken up in like 2 groups.
Yeah.
People.
We're all dealing with like separate problems, and then we're telling each other about it and seeing if we agree on it or not.
So it's a really divided up region with a lot of different leaders.
Yeah.
Hello. What are y'all working on right now?
Working on energy production. We have more food than we need. We have a surplus of food, but we have a lack of energy. So we're trying to barter the food for the energy, and solve our problem that way.
Who are you trying to sell the food to?
Mostly the Middle East, but they've already dealt with somebody. So we just had to deal with Latin America, and they've just given us 2 more units of natural resources, and we trade it for 1 food. So we're going to try to convert the natural resources into energy production. So, just plants by plants and things.
So how are y'all doing? Are you getting any citations, or are you getting the solution cards?
We have a lot of citations, but we're in the process of solving them. We've gotten one well-being card back for getting the troops over here to help us, and that's about it right now.
There's nothing that we can't handle easily. All of our problems are minor problems. So I think if we just take our time and do everything right, we'll be able to handle all this okay.
Where is anybody here from North America? Y'all are in North America.
Yeah. For a piece of food.
Y'all are North America?
America. Yeah.
What are y'all doing?
We're trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. We were having to solve all these different problems, and now we're trying to. What are we trying to do? Trying to barter with Latin America because they've got food problems and we need energy, and they don't have any energy and they don't have any money. So it's just being very, very difficult.
Are you the only? No. How come they come like 5 crime? Gosh.
Solve that problem. I'm gonna now let the media know that you don't care about the prostitution problem. You're just gonna help support it. So you're telling me you're gonna help fund the government with prostitution money? You're gonna use that money in the government? That's what this says. If you're just gonna tax the prostitutes. All right.
Hey, what y'all gonna trade for us?
We should trade you money.
Money?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
solved your environmental problem yet?
Yes.
We need the money.
Have we solved it yet? No. Can you come back?
Are you Japan?
Yes.
What problems y'all dealing with?
We're dealing with sexual exposure and air pollution right now.
And what solutions are you coming up with?
We still have to figure out try to solve the air pollution problem. I think what we're gonna do is we increase more bus public transportation, so people don't have to like drive their cars, so they could people start carpooling. It could like increase produce less pollution. That's what we're planning on to do.
What's your score so far? Have you gotten citations, or are you getting any goodwill card?
We haven't received. We only received one well-being card, and we got a lot of citation.
What are the citations for?
For sexual exposure, air pollution, and the aging problem in Japan.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we were just talking about, the overpopulation in India and overpopulation explosion, and we're thinking about distributing protection and everything. But you have to be literate enough to know, everything about it, like AIDS and everything.
for free, like, here.
Yeah, but then you have to know the whatever consequences if you don't use them. You have to be literate enough to know everything.
Have education.
Yeah. Well, the literacy rate is 49%, right? So that's less than half of the population.
I don't understand why we can't tax the hair more. I know that's a violation of human rights, but I mean, a lot of problems. I mean, we'll probably get more money, and it won't be such a overpopulation.
This is your 3-minute warning. Round 1 will be ending in 3 minutes. So finish your transactions, please.
All right, y'all. We're from the World Health Organization. Have you solved your health problem?
Media team, you need to organize your report.
Can you find your health problem? What did we give them?
What's this?
I think it's this one.
We'll be back to you. Yes, we've attempted to. What do we
have solved our health problem by our health problem was urbanization. We've solved it by glamorizing farming and regulating industry to solve our pollution problem. That's enough. Get the camera out of my face.
Please. We would also like to make an appeal to the United States and Europe, North America and Europe. We believe that they have the resources. We currently have a problem of 4 million landmines.
They need to undergo an act of brotherhood and humanity. They need not take their well-being for granted.
I have nothing else to say. I agree with the guys.
I have no comment. Ask Kel.
What? What's the question?
I don't know.
I don't know what we're doing. We're just trying to solve the urbanization problem, and right now we need 4 energy and 2 more food.
Okay, but you still haven't addressed the fact that you're going to communicate to people how to prevent them from getting AIDS. I'll give you a hint. I'm talking like TV commercials with TV. You write that down there. How much money are you going to spend on this? Well, the TV commercial is going to up the price. That's very expensive. All right, now we're at Southeast Asia. The problem that we gave y'all is urbanization. Regular industry to solve our sewage pollution, lower taxes for farmers. Millions of migrants from rural areas seeking for better lives live in shanty towns. You've got a horrible problem of ghettos in Southeast Asia, shanty towns. In Bangkok, 30,000 rural immigrants live in houses built from scraps. In the city property, industrial and air pollution is horrible. How are you going to solve your air pollution problem? In the area in Malaysia, they are subject to 3 times the air pollution that we have here in the United States. And also, they have a horrible clean water problem. So y'all need to write that down here. Regulate, well, you need to be more specific. Also, you need to write down about the shanty towns and the health problems, maybe solving, getting clean those up. If you, what?
Glamorize farming so that they move out of the city.
Well, you need to you are?
By glamorize farming.
We're going to want to move back to the farm.
Lower taxes.
Okay, well. But you might also think about giving away free land, giving them land.
We're Oceania. We're a whole bunch of islands.
Well, your problems are not good. Your solutions are not good enough. You've got to come up with a better problem to get rid of the shanty towns, get clean water, and clean up your air. Also allocate money and resources down there.
Phrase. Let's allocate money.
Okay, and then you're also going to have ads, all right? And you're also going to spend $8 million. Is this $8 million or okay? Okay, we have our. Okay, we will accept this solution. This is my money man, and we need to give him a well-being card. What's that?
Technology.
Okay. Please return to your
You will have a chance to play 2 more rounds, but round 1 is now over. Media team, please prepare your report. Round 1 is now over. Please return to your regions.
We can do 2 things. One, just go and collect the money from them, or just wait. And when they come to pay us, we can charge them over, a different rate.
Yeah, we could do that. That might. You think that's a better move?
Yeah, probably.
We just wait and charge them at the end. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. All right.
What are the commercial banks doing in the world now?
Our commercial bank has a number of organizations and areas that owe us a considerable amount of money. We're only charging 10% interest. Most of them have paid off their interest, so we haven't actually made any new loans at this point, but we're available to help them solve their economic problems.
Okay. 2 minutes each is fine.
Advertisements, right?
We'll talk about it after we do the report. Okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let's have a big hand for our media team, please.
Hi, okay, this is, after round 1, this is the latest news that we have concerning what's been going on with you guys. In Japan, they've been supporting the sexual exploitation of women, and they've failed to find a reasonable solution. Their only one that they've come up with was an offer to tax the bosses of the rings, and the UN finds this very unacceptable. The Middle East has been hogging its energy, and it won't trade it, or it won't sell it to any of the other countries. And North America has received 3 citations and an animation from the UN about immigration, and they've been fined 2 natural resources, $4 billion, and they'll be fined again, and that they don't want to go to war with you guys, but it's heading that way if y'all don't come up with a solution.
Okay, I'm reporting for China. They have China, Southeast Asia, and India. China's dealing with health problems in sanitation and population, and they're using their little tiger countries, or Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Korea, to bring in foreign labor or foreign investors to help invest and create new sewage systems using China's population to supply laborers. They're dealing with their illiteracy with the pyramid plan. Those who are literate will teach the illiterate, and then in turn it'll go on like that. Southeast Asia needs money for landmine removal. They're requesting support from any larger nations such as North America. They also need more energy. They would have liked to trade with the Middle East, but since we all know the Middle East is lacking energy, they couldn't do that. And they're trying to glamorize farming to deal with their urbanization problem, as well as enforcing industrial regulations. India has their overpopulation problem. They're trying to distribute more birth control and glamorize abstinence. Energy deficit, they're trying to deal with that problem by buying energy from Russia. They still don't have enough. It seems that the Middle East is trying to keep all their energy. And I have a paid advertisement from China. So China's been occupying Tibet for the past 40 years. The government has made a motion to reduce the hostilities. The plan concerns to gradually reduce the military and replace it with civilian population, and therefore Tibet will become a Hong Kong colony, and Tibet will gain development, and China will lose its population problem. I will advertise for any country for a fee, so if you want an advertisement, you come to me.
Okay, about the Middle East hogging their resources, they told me that they have been trading their resources like crazy with Latin America, North America, and Japan, and they only have so many to go around. They've also helped their environmental coastal problem. They've also helped their health problem by building more hospitals, training doctors. Russia has had a radiation problem, and they dealt with this by closing nuclear plants. They also had a drug problem, and they are trying to regulate the flow of people in and out of their borders. Africa has a high illiteracy rate, but they're helping this by creating a national language, a unifying language. They're also helping their health problem by using the people who are literate to, they're sending them to schools and teaching them about medicine, And they're also helping their deforestation problem by using the technology to teach farmers about irrigating and crop rotating. And last, India had some energy problems, and they've been trying to trade with North America, Russia, and Middle East. They're not having very much success. They have a food problem, but they're trying to help this by decreasing the population through birth control and trying to help this also by industrialization and mandatory education. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, media team. As we heard, many of you have already started solving some of your problems. Who has been able to increase their food and energy production? Latin America, Middle East. Latin America, we haven't heard from you. How did you increase food and energy? Can you share one of your solutions with us?
Either bought it or we traded natural resources.
You either bought it or traded natural resources. Was anyone able to increase food and energy by coming up with a different solution from buying and trading? China, could you tell us what that solution was?
We increased our development of hydroelectric power and used some of our waterways as a new resource to develop electricity.
And how much energy did you get for that solution?
We got 2% more, which is our current production.
Great. Has everyone used the production center over here? No? Well, I just want to remind you, you can come here. There are solution binders for food, energy, and education. I noticed that India had a lot of confusion. Is anyone else having a lot of confusion about what their role is? Who hasn't been able to solve their problems? Have you been able to solve your international, global problems through the international teams? They're there to help you. They have solution binders. You can go to them and discuss some problems. Before we break for lunch, we want to show you some slides really quickly. Are there any questions? Well, here are some scenarios. I know you've been spending a lot of time solving your food and energy problems, your health problems. Krisha's going to show you some real-world trends, the direction of the world, the way we're heading as right now.
Back in 1900, there was but one metropolitan area in the world, and that was London in the UK, that had a population of 5 million people or more. By 1950, we had 6, including Buenos Aires. There was New York City, London again, Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai. Projection for metropolitan areas of 5 million people or more in the year 2000, there are over 100. I'm not sure if this is one of them, but it's something which we're all going to have to face, and there are certain problems that come with urbanization as well, but it's something to think about perhaps. Obviously, China's been dealing with their urbanization problem. Energy consumption, in 1955, there's a unit of energy measurement called the metric ton of coal equivalent. 1955, we were using 3 billion tons of metric coal equivalents in the world per year. 1995, it's quadrupled. We now use 12 billion metric tons of coal equivalent per year. 1994, looking at the world food picture, these following countries were threatened by famine or other starvation, something else that you are dealing with and should be coping with in the course of the game and keeping in mind in general. Average number of wars, you would think the world was getting safer, and in some ways it is, but it's also getting more dangerous in many ways. By 1992, there were over 50 wars going on in the world, and almost every single one of them a civil war or a local regional one. And these have been particularly nasty ones, involving mainly civilians. We can see that in the 1950s, approximately half of all deaths due to wars were military, half were civilians. In the 1980s, it was about 3/4 civilians. By 1990, 9 out of every 10 people killed in a war or injured in a war were non-combatants. This is causing a flood of refugees. In 1970, this is actually countries receiving refugees, which accounts for the large spike in the United States. 1970, there were so many. 1980, it grew, and as you can see, spread throughout the world. And in 1996, we have 25 million refugees, 80 to 85% of which are women and children. Keep in mind that these people are, this refugee figure is only for people who are external, that is, who fled to another country. There are additional millions of people who are refugees within their own countries, forced to flee their homes, usually because of war. In 1982, HIV infections in the world, there were approximately 450,000. You can see they were primarily concentrated in Africa. In 1994, this number has rocketed to 15 million, and the projections from the World Health Organization are worse. For the year 2000, an estimated 40 million HIV infections in the world, and as you can see, they're pretty well distributed throughout the world. So these are all some trends that perhaps you should be keeping in mind. They're not meant to scare you, but it is meant to give you some idea of what's going on in the world, and hopefully is something you'll keep in mind as the game rounds progress.
As I said, we're going to break for lunch very shortly as soon as they've completed setting up. Many of you have mentioned that your regions don't have enough money. Well, there's one piece, an important piece, I guess, that we've left out, and we're going to introduce it into the game now. Each of you, each region has weapons. Your weapons are in these envelopes. They're balloons for the purposes of this game. Each balloon in the envelope represents 1% of the world's military spending. So each balloon is worth about $10 billion. When the balloon is deflated, it means you're on defense. And if you inflate the balloon, you're being offensive. So for the purposes of this simulation, the region who has the most balloons will most likely win the war. But keep in mind, when you win a war, you take over that region's, not only their wealth and resources, but their problems. You get all of their environmental problems, all of their poverty problems, all of their health problems. And also, for the purposes of this simulation, if you wish to wage a war, you have to fill out paperwork. So you can go to the United Nations and file paperwork in order to wage a war. If you'd like to turn your weapons into money, you can come to the production center and get your military weapons and discuss your ideas for spending. I'm sure you're all very hungry, so if you'd like to break for lunch now, can I ask you to pick up your game cards again? Can I see your game card? Can you please stay seated for a moment? Just stay seated and look at your game cards. In the right-hand corner, there's a bag of money. Does everyone see the bag of money? Yeah. Yes? So, I only have one. Under the entry year, some of you have one, some of you have two. Can everyone who has one money bag on their game card raise their hands, please? Stand up. Can you stand up? Only one money bag. Those of you that have one money bag. You can leave your items there, but bring your game cards with you. Those of you that have one money bag, please go and receive your lunch. They will give it to you. What? One. card did I take? Is it yours? You can go. You have one money bag. Okay, who's got 2 money bags? No, please stay seated for a minute. Anyone who has 2 money bags, please stay seated and raise your hands. Everybody in that line has only 1 bag? 2? Okay.
Where do you go if you have one?
Right here. We'll stand right here. I want an absent.
Those of you who have 2 can get in line. Please be sure to show them your game card so that you can be served the proper food. And can everyone who has 3 money bags raise their hands? So few people. Okay, you can also get in line. Bring your game cards, please.
That's all.
Yeah, I know. What is that?
It's rice.
No, but what's the other one?
Oh, you don't get that. It doesn't matter. You only get the rice.
Oh, what is this?
You only have 1 bag of money, so you only get rice.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
1 bag of money, 1 way.
So not fair.
What do you mean it's not fair? You only have 1 bag of money. You come from a poor nation. Why should you get more? Oh, a little bigger? Oh, okay. Oh, a full spoon. Oh, okay. So you get... Jasper, you're getting a whole thing of rice here. Look, a whole spoon.
A whole spoon. Look at that.
You're getting a whole spoon.
Beans and things come out.
It's good rice.
Okay, who's getting to the point of 2?
One bag? That's all you had. That's your whole lunch. This is all you get. Yeah.
That's it?
Well, you only had 1 bag of money. You're from a poor
I don't even
nation.
like rice.